Good morning, everybody. Net zero is absolute nonsense, and this is the policy that most Western governments have to get rid of fossil fuels from our economy entirely on the basis, which is false, that carbon dioxide is some kind of demonic gas. It's not. It's naturally occurring. It's in our atmosphere. Most human beings breathe out hundreds of kilos of carbon dioxide every year just through the process of respiration. And all the people that say they're so concerned about it will think nothing of getting on their private jets, jetting around the world to a climate conference to virtue signal and beat their breasts about it, while generating about as much carbon dioxide in 1 week or 1 weekend as a small African nation would do in a year. So the people that are pushing this are utter hypocrites, and also they are doing bad for our nations and our economy. Look, by trying to close down coal power stations, which is what they've done in the UK. There's only 4 or 5 left, and they're due, and the current plans to shut by 2025. By doing that, we're not generating as much electricity as we could do, and we have to buy it from France or from the Netherlands because there's big undersea electricity cables to connect us if we ever get short of electricity, to buy it from abroad, which is ridiculous when we could be self-sufficient in energy because we've got all the resources to make all the energy and electricity we need in this country. But another thing they're doing is they want to divest even from gas, which is ridiculous. So we've got huge online shale gas reserves, which we should be developing and using for our exclusive use in the UK, so that we have enough gas to keep our homes warm, because most homes in the UK have gas central heating and so on. Now, this is compounded by the situation in Russia at the moment. Now, in the UK, we don't buy much gas, natural gas from Russia. We get half of it from our own domestic supply, and we buy most of the rest from Norway, and a little bit comes in on boats, a little bit from Russia, a little bit from America in the form of LPG. But the reason why gas prices are so high is because, well, the other countries in Europe are not buying from Russia, or they don't want to. So they still are, because they're desperate. Like Germany is in a right pickle because they've got rid of all their nuclear power stations because they've gone for this net zero thing, but they're still now having to buy loads and loads of natural gas from Russia. Otherwise, the whole country's going to stop. But because of that, you know, the Russians have bumped their price up to most of the European countries. So now they're trying to buy more from Norway. So that's pushing the price of their gas up, which means that in the UK that has a knock-on effect. And we have to pay more for gas here because everything sort of moves together. That's the way the European energy market works, which we're still integrated into through the private sector. It's nothing to do with the EU for once. But it's ridiculous. So what we need to do is just abandon this stupid net zero thing and just have some common sense, because we've got to keep the lights on. We've got to keep our industry working. If we ever want to get back on manufacturing base, which we should never have got rid of in the first place, because this is a great manufacturing nation. I mean, it's the cradle of the Industrial Revolution. We need to have enough energy to supply all of our needs. So what we need to do immediately is reopen our coal power stations, which have been mothballed, and not close anymore. And the ridiculous policy of some of our largest ex-coal power stations of not burning coal, but burning wood pellets that come from rainforests and other mature forests in North and South America is way more environmentally destructive than if you just did nothing and just burned coal anyway. So we should just carry on doing that. We should not be burning wood pellets from American forests in our power stations to produce us electricity. That's absolute madness. So that's number one. Develop our gas industry. Look, we've got loads of oil and gas in the North Sea that's still untapped. Let's untap it and use it for our use in this country to power us for years and decades to come. Develop our online shale gas industry. And in the long term, we should be building small modular nuclear power stations. Each one will have, a capacity of 600 to 800 megawatts. That's about 1.5% of our energy needs, each one. So, if you build 20 of them, that will provide 30% of our entire needs for the national grid. If you build more, it will provide more. And then you make up the rest with oil, gas, hydro, maybe a little bit of tidal in there somewhere. But that's got its own environmental issues as well. That's what we need to do. We need to get rid of the madness, and we certainly need to get rid of the Tory policies of they want to bring in a ban on petrol and diesel cars from 2030. So no one's going to be able to get around unless you've got an electric car, which is vastly expensive, which wrecks the Congo and causes all kinds of human rights issues with the poor children in the Congo having to mine cobalt for us in slave labour conditions. Nobody seems to care about them. And your electric cars are going to turn off anyway if we haven't got enough electricity coming through the national grid, because we're relying on wind and solar panels, windmills and solar panels, because they do not produce any electricity when the wind stops blowing and when the sun stops shining. So the whole thing is absolutely madness. Let's get back to coal, gas, nuclear, keep the lights on, get rid of the stupid net zero policy.